Yo, what is good with y'all? It's your boy KAG, and today we're gonna be looking at an old Nintendo NX rumor, and this one comes way of Stimpack Vendor on Reddit, and I figured I would go ahead and cover this one because I thought it was interesting enough to actually go ahead and give y'all a video on it for those of you who have not heard this rumor. Now, this was going on during the time when the oval screen controller was out on the loose. Now, let's go ahead and let's hop into this video. Now, he goes on to say, I am a AAA developer who works with an actual NX developer kit. I've been developing a game for it for about 6 months. I will not post pictures and I won't tell you where I work because I don't want to risk losing my job. However, I can tell you some info on it without giving away to Nintendo or my boss who I am. And he says, for starters, that leaked NX controller is a fake. It really is convincing, but the controller that we have on our developer kit is nothing like it. Our developer kit controller doesn't have an oval screen. Ours is a standard rectangle. It has physical buttons with a screen behind them. It doesn't have form shifting screen, nor does it have a touch screen with haptic feedback. It is hardwired to the developer kit, which looks like a boring black box with some USB ports and a disk drive. However, the fake does get a couple things right. It does have scroll wheel shoulder buttons, but in addition to them, it also has 2 rectangular shoulder buttons labeled ZL and ZR. It also has a headphone jack in the bottom of the controller. Some other things I can tell you, I don't know if the NX is backwards compatible with the Wii U or 3DS or not, but it doesn't look like it is. The system is different enough from both that I think it would be hard to play games from other consoles. The controller is sort of a game system in its own, but it's not a replacement for the 3DS. It works like a companion app on a phone, and you can take it with you and control some things from your game, like how the VMU on the Dreamcast lets you take a child with you and train it. No one outside Nintendo knows what the NX name is. It's still the NX here internally. Ask me any questions about the NX developer kit and I'll answer as best I can without revealing who I am. So that is his initial statement, so let's actually cover that first, and then we'll actually go into some of the questions that people asked him. Now, he does go on to say that it's a regular rectangle screen, but he does state that the actual screen covers the entirety of the controller. Now, he does note that there are analog sticks there, but the A, B, X, Y buttons, they all have a screen underneath them, so they technically can be changed so that they do not have to look exactly the same all the time. He does go on to note that it does not have haptic feedback, but the touch screen is actually a capacitive touch screen. It's not a resistive touch screen like the ones used on the 3DS. So that would actually have, do away with the actual stylus implementation that you would find on the Wii U and the 3DS. Another thing he does note is that the actual controller is not really for playing games. It is more of like a companion app, like a phone, and he does say that it is about the actual specs of a mid-tier smartphone. Now, that's pretty much what he had to say about it, outside of like having a headphone jack and ZL and ZR buttons and the shoulder scroll wheel buttons. Now, there's a couple interesting things that does stand out to me, some for the good, some for the bad, but we'll go ahead and tackle them anyways. Now, the first thing I noticed is the actual scroll wheel shoulder buttons. It is a good possibility that they can show up. If you actually look at Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the menu screen is actually developed around those type shoulder buttons. I could see that actually working with it actually rotating to the right and rotating to the left in order to go through your menu. That does make a lot of sense there. ZL and ZR buttons, that's nothing new and nothing out of the normal. The fact that they're going with a screen that covers the whole device, that is interesting as well. I could see that as a possibility because if you all know, the last few patents that have been regarding this mystery handheld peripheral type device have all stated about being more immersive. And so the actual controller type device is more immersive when you're looking at it. But the issue we have here is the fact that it's technically not supposed to play any games on it. I mean, outside of the little mini apps, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Now, it seems to me that it would technically play some form factor of game on it, not just these mini apps, because it would make absolutely no sense for the actual handheld device or the controller to have such a nice screen on it if it wasn't technically being used in a significant way. Now, this also brings me to the point of, if you look at the Sheikah Slate on Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you have this unique tablet-shaped device that has the screen that goes across it, and Link uses it for this, and he uses it for that, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so that does make a lot of sense. The only part that doesn't really add up is the fact, number one, the buttons are see-through. The A, B, X, Y buttons are see-through. The analog sticks are not see-through. You can actually just use them as regular. You know, they have regular plastic analog sticks, but because your fingers are over top of them, you don't really notice it as much. But the issue, like I said in the beginning, is the problem with the fact that it doesn't technically play any core games. A matter of fact, he even states that it doesn't mirror the screen of the actual game, because that would actually be a step back from the Wii U, because the Wii U can mirror that on the screen, but this device cannot. It's just for controls. So that doesn't make sense at all. Why go with such a nice controller if it's not really being used? But he does note, which is interesting, that you can take this actual device on the go with you and use it on the go. Granted, you can't play any of your NX games on it, but you could take it on the go with you. And on top of that, supposedly it has a micro SD card in it so that you can do game saves on it. So that's interesting as well there. But with it not technically playing any specific real game of substance, then why go with such a nice controller with see-through buttons if you weren't going to be looking at this controller at some point in time? So that just doesn't add up right there. Maybe he has, that one little portion of it incorrect, because everything else seems about right. He does say that the NX supposedly is, Nintendo's response to people asking for a more traditional console, and he does state that it is more powerful than a PlayStation 4, in that it can technically run those games better without as much choppiness and with a smoother frame rate. So he does actually state all of that. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about all this. Is it a possibility that it is the actual NX controller that he's describing here? Oh, by the way, he does say that the controller is about the size of the bottom half of a 3DS. I was trying to find out where this rumor actually came from, and it actually came from him. That is about the size of the bottom half of a 3DS, and that kind of does line up there with everything with all these different controllers that people have been discussing, including Gino himself. The only difference here is Gino's is supposedly can actually stream to the TV, but his is just it's just a controller with apps on it. So I mean, granted, yes, you could probably play Pokemon Go on it, but he did state that it doesn't have a camera. So that kind of throws that off. How are you gonna do augmented reality with a controller that doesn't have a camera on it? But yeah, Let me know what y'all think about all this down there in the comment section. If you think he may be onto something, if he's telling the truth. Now, I did actually just contact him recently to see if I can get more information, and if I do, I will respond back with another video for y'all to actually give y'all a little bit more information that he has on it. But anyways, oh, and I did check to see if he's done any more posts on Reddit, and he hasn't done any more posts since this actual comment right here. But anyway, let me know what y'all think about all this down there in the comment section. And also, don't forget to click that like button if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoy any of my videos. And as always, don't forget to subscribe if you're new to this channel. And I'll talk to you on another one. Peace.